Good morning, students. So today I'm going to discuss about the topic known as copy constructor. Now first try to understand what a copy constructor is. A copy constructor is a special member function that initializes an object using another object of the same class. The copy constructor has to be explicitly declared using this following prototype. It starts with the class name, okay, which you have to specify, and then within bracket you have to put the const keyword followed by the class name again, and then you have to put this ampersand symbol, and just after placing the ampersand symbol you have to write the name of the old object from which you are going to copy the values into the new object. But in this prototype of the copy constructor, we are not specifying the new object name. Instead, we just have to specify the old object name. For example, if employee is the class name, you're going to specify employee here, followed by the const keyword within bracket, and then again the class name, which is employee, give a space, and then place the ampersand symbol. After that, if the name of the old object is EMP, I shall type EMP here like this. Now this example declares a copy constructor based on this prototype. Now let's say you wish to copy the values of this old object EMP into this new object EMPX. Then for that, you have to specify the statement for copying the values of this old object EMP into this new object EMPX like this. At the very beginning, it's necessary to specify the class name employee to create the new object EMPX. Once the new object EMPX gets created out of this class employee, the values from the old object EMP can be copied into this new object EMPX via the copy constructor, which is this one. Okay, so this is the copy constructor, which takes the parameter as the old object EMP, and using this copy constructor, the contents of this old object EMP gets copied into this new object EMPX that has been created out of this class known as employee. Now what's important out here is that it's necessary to create the new class, it's necessary to create this new object from this class before the copy constructor gets called. Now look at this particular statement. In this statement, I haven't created the object EMPX out of a class. Instead, this statement says that the object EMPX has already been created, and now only the values of this old object EMP has been copied into it, and that shall be done through the pass by value method. So just as how this object EMP is an old object that was created before, in the same way the object EMPX is also an old object that has been created before. By using this assignment operator, which is denoted by this equality symbol, I am just copying the values of this object EMP into the object EMPX via the pass by value method. Before the values of this object gets copied into this object, both these objects will reserve different memory locations. So from this statement we can conclude that the copy constructor is not called. Okay, instead of invoking the copy constructor, the pass by value method shall be used to copy the contents of the object EMP into the object EMPX. But that was not the case in this statement. Okay, in this statement, a new object named EMPX has been created out of this class employee, and then the values of the old object EMP has been passed into the new object EMPX, and that is possible with the help of this copy constructor, which takes the old object EMP as the parameter. So just remember that for calling the copy constructor, the declaration of an object with the help of a class is a must. Okay, the declaration of the new object out of a class is a must before the values of the old objects gets copied into the new object. So out of these two statements, okay, I can omit this particular statement, because with the help of this particular statement I am not going to invoke the copy constructor. Okay, so let me delete it. Instead I am just going to keep this particular statement. Okay, and with the help of this particular statement I shall be easily able to invoke the copy constructor known as employee. Now another thing to be noted here is that what if we do not specify this copy constructor? If we do not specify this copy constructor explicitly inside a class, then in that case still this statement is going to invoke the copy constructor, because the compiler will implicitly call a copy constructor if we do not write our own copy constructor. So here in this case, if we do not write this copy constructor, still this statement is going to invoke the copy constructor, and that will not be this copy constructor. Instead it shall be the copy constructor which will be implicitly called by the compiler. So the compiler implicitly calls a copy constructor if we don't write our own copy constructor. Now I want all of you to visit page number 1.151 and see the program, because that is the program which is actually based on the copy constructor. Your copy constructor portion starts at page number 1.149. okay, but the program in that page number 1.149 is actually based on parameterized constructor. So the program has been mistyped as copy constructor. Instead just visit page 1.151. okay, in that page number you will see a program, okay, similar to this one. Mark that program as a copy constructor program. Now in this slide I am going to demonstrate that program of copy constructor which is in page 1.151. The program starts with a class identified by the name employee. If you look at this class, there are two member functions. Out of these two member functions, one is a constructor. This is a constructor as its name resembles the name of the class, which is also employee. Now as this constructor contains 4 parameters such as eCode, ename, edesig and eSalary, so this is known as a parameterized constructor. Now other than this parameterized constructor, this class identified by the name employee does not possess any other constructors. Okay, so we can conclude from here that this class does not possess any explicitly defined copy constructor, because for copy constructor the format of declaring a class should be exactly like this. Okay, just after the class declaration you have to specify the const keyword followed by the class name again, and then the ampersand symbol followed by the old object name, and then end it with a semicolon to complete the declaration of this constructor. This is the example, okay, that actually follows this prototype. But do you see such type of constructor declaration, okay, which uses this const keyword and this ampersand symbol out here inside this class? No, because this prototype is for the parameterized constructor, not for the copy constructor. Now I shall explain you this program in detail. The program starts with the main function, okay, since main is the inception of a program, okay, and after that the control moves inside the body of this main function, okay, and then it executes this first statement. The first statement creates an object identified by the name EMP out of this class known as employee. Now these are the initial values passed through this object EMP, and it will be passed into the parameterized constructor. Now as soon as this object EMP gets created out of this class named employee, an implicit call to this parameterized constructor shall be done. Now since the function body of this constructor has been defined outside of the class, so the control is going to jump over here, okay, and enter inside the body to execute all the statements inside its body part. Now if you look at these statements, the constructor is actually trying to initialize the data members EMP code, EMP name, EMP desig, and EMP salary with these values, that is E code, E name, E desig, and E salary. So once this parameterized constructor has been invoked from the main function, just after the object creation, the control jumps from here to here where it executes the statements in its function body to initialize all the data members inside of that class, and that serves the purpose of a constructor to initialize the object data members. So now these initial values shall be passed to these, that is E code, E name, E desig, and E salary. So as soon as the object EMP gets created, okay, we have the initial values for E code, E name, E desig, and E salary as these. Then those initial values from E code, E name, E desig, and E salary has been passed into the data members EMP code, EMP name, EMP desig, and EMP salary. So now we have the values of these data members getting copied from here. Now if you look at these values, that is 100 for the data member EMP code, Sujata for EMP name, computer for EMP desig, and 12500 for EMP salary, okay, these values, they indicate the state of the object known as EMP. So why is it like that? This is because these are the data members of the class, okay, EMP code, EMP name, EMP desig, and EMP salary. These are the data members of the class, and when we assign some initial values into the data members of the class, those values will indicate the state of the object that shall be created out of that class. So for our object named EMP created out of the class employee, having these data members, these values will indicate the state of this object EMP, because they indicate the values which are assigned to these data members. As a result, the current state of our object EMP will look exactly like this, okay. The data member EMP code will have this value, EMP name this value, EMP desig this value, and EMP salary this value. Now once these values are assigned into these data members, how much memory shall be allocated for our object EMP? Now see, as soon as the value 100 gets assigned into the data member EMP code, 2 bytes of memory space will be allocated, because the data type of EMP code was int. look here, the data type of EMP code was int, so it shall occupy 2 bytes. Plus, when this value gets assigned into the data member EMP name, you have to add 20 bytes. Okay, so plus 1 into 20. So why 1 into 20? Because if you look at the data type of this data member EMP name, it's char, and char takes 1 byte of memory space. Okay, now since there are 20 allotted characters, so 1 has to be multiplied with 20, and that gives 1 into 20. Okay, so the previous 2 bytes has been added with this new 20 bytes, okay, coming out from 1 into 20. Okay, then I have to add one more, okay, using this plus operator. When this value gets assigned into the data member EMP DESIG, okay, you have to look for the data type of this data member EMP DESIG. It's char. Okay, again it takes 1 byte. Okay, and the total allotted characters is 15. Okay, because the size is 15 here inside this array. This gives 1 into 15, which has been added just after 2 plus 20. Now 2 plus 20 plus 15 gives 37 bytes of memory allocation for the object EMP. Now after this, again I am adding 4 bytes into it. This 4 byte is coming from the data member EMP salary, which has been assigned the value 12,500. Because the data type of this data member EMP salary is float, you can see it clearly here, it's float, and since float takes 4 bytes, so I add 4 just after 2 plus 20 plus 15. Okay, and this gives 2 plus 20 plus 15, we already know it's 37. Okay, and 37 plus 4 is equal to 41 bytes. Okay, so the total memory allocation for our object known as EMP is 41 bytes. Now if you look at our class known as employee, in addition to these 4 data members, that is EMP code, EMP name, EMP DESIG and EMP salary, I also have 3 more additional data members such as DA, HRA and gross, and each of these data members have been declared with the data type as float. Now if it's like that, I have to have 4 bytes for DA, 4 bytes for HRA and 4 bytes for gross, and that has to give 41 plus 4 for DRA, which is 45, then 45 plus 4 for HRA, 49, 49 plus 4 for gross, 53. So in total it has to be 53 bytes. Okay, in total it has to be 53 bytes. But why it's not 53 bytes? Okay, can you guess? This is because only these 4 data members, that is EMP code, EMP name, DESIG and salary, has been assigned these initial values of 100, Sujata, computer and 12,500. Okay, and since the initial values has been passed only to these 4 data members, so the memory allocation for the object EMP will be based on these 4 data members only. As a result, 41 bytes has been calculated on the basis of these 4 data members. The data members DA, HRA and gross has been ruled out for memory allocation because they haven't been passed any initial values. So to sum it up, once this statement gets executed, the object EMP was created, this parameterized constructor has been invoked immediately and the initial values has been passed into these parameters, and then the initial values from these parameters has been fed into the data members. And that's why I get to see the current state of the object EMP with these values assigned to the data members, and this is the memory allocation, okay, that has been reserved for the object EMP. Okay, and it comes to 41 bytes if we calculate it. So this is the current state of the object EMP, okay, with these values being assigned into these 4 data members. Now once this statement gets executed, the control moves to the next line and then it's going to print the text, okay, that is, here is the employee information with the help of this cout operator, and you can easily view this text in the output. Then the control moves into the next statement, okay. It encounters a for loop where it is going to print this equality operator 32 times, okay, because the value of the variable I starts from 1 and ends at 32. So 1 to 32, if you count, it's going to print this equality operator 32 times in the output. So just after printing this text, you can see the equality operator getting printed 32 times. The next, using the object emp, I am trying to access this member function display. The access has been granted because this member function has been declared under the public access specifier section. As a result, the control is going to move from this calling function into this call function, and then it is executing all these 4 statements inside its body, okay. At first it's printing the text employee code and then the value of the data member emp code, okay. So employee code, so what's the value of the data member emp code? It was 100, okay. That's why I get to see employee code 100 in the output. In the same way, it's going to print the text employee name, employee designation, and employee salary along with their data members emp name, emp desig, and emp salary into the output. So for that, we have employee name as Sujata, employee designation as PGT computer, and employee salary as 12,500. These are the values. Now once this entire function body gets executed, the control is again going to move to the next line just after this calling function, that is over here, and then it is going to execute this particular statement. Now what this statement is doing actually, it is first creating a new object bearing the name empx out of this class employee, and once this new object gets created, then this shall be initialized with the values from the old object emp, and that shall be done when the copy constructor will be invoked by the compiler. But if you look at our class, we don't have any copy constructor. We only have one constructor, which is this parameterized constructor. So in this case, the compiler is going to implicitly call the copy constructor for our class. The compiler first, it's going to create that copy constructor, and then it's going to call that copy constructor once this particular statement gets executed. Because with the help of this statement, at first the new object empx has been created out of this class known as employee, and then again from the old object emp, okay, its values has to be passed or copied into this new object empx, and that has to be done with the help of a copy constructor. But due to the absence of any copy constructor in our class, okay, due to the absence of any copy constructor in our class, the compiler creates its own copy constructor for our class, and then it invokes this copy constructor so that the contents of the old object or the values of the old object emp can be passed and initialize the new object empx with those values. So once this new object empx gets initialized by the old object emp via the calling of this copy constructor created by the compiler, the entire state of the object emp shall be copied into the new object empx. That's why you can see that the contents of the old object emp is exactly the same as the new object empx. So now the state of the object empx is going to have these values, okay, for its data members. Now once this statement gets executed, the control shifts to the next statement, okay, and then in this statement it's printing this text with the help of this cout command. Okay, so this text gets displayed exactly as it is in the output like this, and then the control moves to the next line. Okay, here it is executing the for loop 33 times. Okay, because 0 to 32, if you count, the value of I ranges from 0 to 32, which gives 33. Okay, and 33 times is going to print this equality operator. So the effect is seen here. 33 times the equality operator has been printed. Now, with the help of this new object empx, it's trying to invoke this member function display. Now, since this member function display has been specified in the public access specifier section, so the access has been granted, and after that the control is going to shift from this calling function into this call function. Okay, and then it's going to execute the body inside this call function. The body region has 4 different statements. Okay, in the first statement it prints employee code, the value of the data member emp code, then employee name, the value of the data member emp name, then these two. Okay, employee designation and employee salary with their data members emp desig and emp salary. Okay, now for these, as these are the values for these data members pertaining to the object empx, which is the same as with the object emp, so in the output I get to see these texts along with the values of their data members. And once it gets printed, the control shifts to the next line after executing this statement. Okay, in the next line it finds the closing parenthesis of the main function. Okay, so the body of the main function ends here and the program gets completed. And once the program execution is over, okay, I get to see this particular stuff under the output section. This portion is coming out when the old object emp invokes the member function display, and this portion was coming out when the new object empx was invoking the member function display. So the most important thing to note here is this particular statement. Okay, at first the new object empx has been created out of this class employee, and then it has been initialized with the values from the old object emp, and that has been done with the help of this copy constructor, which has been created by the compiler first, and then it has been invoked. Okay, which does the copying. Okay, which does the copying of the values from the old object emp into the new object empx. Okay, this has been created by the compiler because we didn't had any copy constructor for our class known as employee. Okay, this was the only constructor, but this is the parameterized constructor. Okay, for a copy constructor to be inside our class, its prototype has to be different. The prototype has to look somewhat like this, and the declaration of the copy constructor would look something like this, which is not present inside our class. That's why the compiler has implicitly created this copy constructor by itself and then invoked it. So that's all for today, and with this I end my presentation here.